Hi again folks, how are you all doing? This is a Hornby Class 50 that was sent to me by Greg. He said this is DCC fitted, but he hasn't been able to get it to run at all under DCC or DC. Let's turn on the power and see what happens. Ooh. Interesting. Well, it's making diesel sound noises. I wasn't expecting that, but it's not moving. And just leaving the power on there, it suddenly seemed to be under a bit of stress, as if the motor was trying to run but couldn't. So I suspect possibly a mechanical issue here. And it's pulling about 100 milliamps on the meter. So let's shove it into the shed and we'll see if we can see what's up. So a Class 50. This is Illustrious. Yeah, very nice model, nice and heavy. Greg said he couldn't get this to run, and when it was on the track there, I was quite surprised to hear the the DCC sounds coming through under DC. But when I left the power on, it did try to move a little bit, and then the light started flickering, and it was almost like the motor was trying to turn but couldn't. So yeah, I suspect possibly something's jammed up, and that would explain why it wouldn't run under DCC or DC. So, how do we get into this? I'm not seeing any screws. I'll persuade this to come apart. There we go. Yeah, the wheels seem a bit sticky. So I think we've got the old dried up lubricant issue. Ooh, yeah, see, that's not turning. So the pulley there for the fan isn't turning at all. So something's jammed up in there, and I think we've got sticky grease. So we'll need to take it all apart and give it all a good scoosh out and all the usual stuff. I think we need to get this fan out first of all. We've got a screw here. And there's a screw there. Take the fan belt off. Now, does that lift out? Good, we've got little washers. There. That's completely seized. Oh god, that's stiff. Yeah, this just needs a good scoosh out. Yeah, so that's really stiff. The drive shafts are really stiff. Alright, we need to get this speaker out the road. Screw either side. Something going to come out. It does. So I've got nice, relatively easy access to the bogies and the drive shafts, just like you see. So there you can see the top of the bogie and the drive shaft. The PCB, the decoder, and the other end, the other bogie and the drive shaft. All fairly accessible. LED headband on so I can see what I'm doing. So this piece here unclips, and it's got these pieces here that are attached that hold it in place to this cross member on the chassis block, and there'll be a lug and a hole on the underside to hold the bogie in place, and that acts as the pivot. So once we remove this, the bogie will just fall out. But sometimes removing this is a bit iffy because they are prone to break. I've only had one completely snap and I had to get replacements, but they'll often crack. But nothing is coming out okay. There it is. That's the gearbox cover. And now that will just come out along with the part of the drive shaft anyway. I think what we'll do is lift that out, and then that comes out. There we go. Yeah, these bearings are completely seized. Oh no, they're stiff as well, just trying to turn the gears in the gearbox, so this is going to need the works, this. Oh dear, oh dear. There's 3 clips either side of the keeper plate under the bogie. These can be a real pain in the neck to unclip. It's coming. There we go. Just got to keep on persuading them to give way. So that's what we're dealing with. You can see the everything turns, but it's really stiff. The more I turn it, it'll free up. But we'll give it all a good scoosh. Contact cleaner is going to be the saviour here. Get all that freed up, and then we'll get some silicone grease in. And you can see there the pickups make contact with the ends of the axles. This should come apart. Let's get this back on. There we go. This will come out, and then that side will come out. And that should allow me to get not just the wheels, but the bogie all together. There we go. And we'll have to do exactly the same at the other end. I probably won't film that because it'll just be the same as what I'm doing here. I think there's been too much lubrication at the ends of the axles as well, where it fits through the pickups. And I think that's seized as well, so that's very sticky. So we'll give everything a good scoosh, and it'll be right as rain. Just make sure everything's degreased. Get the monkey brush onto these drive gears. Just looking for any split. Thankfully nothing on that one. Going to be using a lot of contact cleaner in this repair, I think. Yeah, that's still stiff. Don't often have to do this, but I think we are going to have to open this up and take all the gears out and clean them all. There's a couple of screws here. Thankfully it's not clipped. Prise this open and apart. There we go. So we'll need to take them all out. I wonder if I can get away with just cleaning these in situ. Yeah, that's freed them up. There we go. Once that cleaned out, put all these gears back. There we go, they're all nice and free moving now. Get some silicone grease. My little nail varnish tub is a bit empty. I'll just scoop some out from here. To get the grease into there, I have to suck it out with a syringe, but we'll just get it out from here. Get this back together. Make sure the wheels are clean and that the ends of the axles are clean. I think this wins the prize for the most seized up model I've ever worked on. Whether it's been an inappropriate lubricant that's been used, I don't know, or if it's just the environment this has been kept in, who knows. Right, these bearings are completely seized as well. Yeah, there we go. Have to take that off. There we are. So, scoosh that and scoosh that. The little nylon washers are stuck on. There we go, got it off. Just wanted to free that so I can get in there and get that sticky lubricant off. There we are, that's how it should be, nice and free moving. Right, so bearings on. Let's shove that back in there. Like so. There we go. It will need some fresh oil. That back on. Goes on and off a lot easier than it comes off. Right. Give these a good clean out, because the axles go through these little holes. So we'll make sure they're nice and clean. There we go. So let's get that back in there, just re-engage that. Right, get this back in. It's got a groove, so it only fits one way. And then we can get that down back into position there. And then that'll just clip back in. There we go, make sure it's properly clipped in. That's that bogie done. We'll pop this back on so it's not flapping about. Right, okay, that's that bogie done. We'll have to do the other bogie, and we'll have to do this. And then I think it'll be okay. But, beer o'clock, so I'm going to come back to this tomorrow. Righto then, next day, I took the other bogie apart and gave it all the same treatment. And I've put it back. So, in theory, I think this should run now. Because it's DCC fitted, it may not run, but we'll see. Okay, turn on the power. Lights come on. It's making noise. Oh, there we go. So yeah, it sort of works under DC, but I suspect this will behave differently under DCC. I think what I'll do when I come to run it on the layout, I'll take the decoder out and we'll fit a blanking plate. So it probably won't make any of the noises and stuff, but that's fine. So long as it runs, that's all I'm really worried about. But I think before doing anything else, I'm going to run this through Sprog and see what happens under DCC. Right, so we've got it on the rollers, and I've opened up the GMRI software. Power it on. Now, what happens if we power up? Yep, it's running away fine. So that's running fine under DCC. Switch lights on. There we go. Here's the sounds. So that seems to work okay under DCC. I'm not going to mess around with that anymore. I'm going to remove the decoder and fit a 21-pin blanking plate to allow it to run on DC. Because I noticed there on Sprog that this was DC enabled, but it clearly wasn't running very well, so I'm not going to mess about with it. Be careful not to bend the pins. go. There we are, it's the blanking plate in. Now will it run on DC? There we go. The lighting still works. Okay, so quite happy with that. What we need to do now is get this sorted, because it's well and truly seized up. Can I get the top off this? Yeah, this clips on, so there we go. Right, alright, so we've got bearings either end. That's better. A wee bit more contact cleaner in there. Yeah, that's turning nice and freely now. It's not turning the fan just now because the end of the shaft has got a plastic piece that rubs against the plastic disc under the fan, so it's just works by friction. So because there's contact cleaner in there, it's acting as a lubricant. The contact cleaner will evaporate off, and that should be okay. So get some oil into that bearing and that one. And that should be okay. We'll leave that off just now. And we shall go and get a cup of tea, I think. In fact, is it lunchtime? Yeah, it is lunchtime, just about. I'll go and get some lunch and take Doug's out, and we'll come back to this. Right, lunch had, Doug's walked. Let's get back to this. Get my cup of tea out the road. See what this is like now. The contact cleaner has evaporated off. Yeah, that's turning nice and freely, and the fan is turning. Right, so that's back in. Need to get this little belt back on that pulley. Sure it's not twisted. Here we go, locomotive running, fan turning, lights working. Here we go. It's pulling about 250, 300 milliamps. That's okay. Right, so I think we're done. We'll pull out the shed and give it a run around the layout. But obviously, before I return it to Greg, I'll open it up again, replace the blanking plate with the decoder. I'll give it another check under DCC, and I think I might also lift the PCB and put a wee bit of oil in the motor bearings. I didn't do that, so I'll do that before it goes back to Greg. But meantime, let's pull this out the shed. Right, so that's this class 50 all sorted out. The worst case of dried up lubricant I've seen to date. Pretty much every moving part of this model, apart from the actual motor, was seized up solid, which necessitated taking both bogies completely apart, cleaning and re-lubricating everything, including the fan mechanism, which needed the same treatment. Thankfully, there were no split gears or axles or anything, and the decoder seems to work okay, just not under DC. It likely needs a bit of reprogramming. I'm going to open this up again to refit the decoder, and also I think I'll lift the PCB to get a wee bit of oil into the motor bearings, which I didn't do. Once that's done, I'll test it again using the Sprog and then get it packed up and sent back to Greg. Okay folks, catch yous later.